All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the Started Body Basketball Show. Wherever or however you're listening, we're so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, it's Sean Cottle, and this is a little bit of an impromptu show, but there was a video that popped up on my news feed early this morning, and the title was Isaiah Thomas goes off on LeBron James, and I was interested to see what it was about. And I clicked on the video, and the video was Isaiah Thomas on NBA TV with Steve Smith, Jalen Rose, and they were doing the regular NBA TV coverage for pregame. And video of LeBron James popped up in his warm up doing his regular warm up routine. And in the video, LeBron James didn't have a shirt on, and he had a do rag on. Nothing new for us as watchers of the NBA. We've seen this before, and Isaiah Thomas used this opportunity to voice his opinion, his perspective on how he feels about players warming up uh, during their pregame without a shirt on. And he said that, I'm paraphrasing, is unprofessional, and that that's not how you're supposed to do things in the NBA. And it was something that I had never thought about before. And then Steve Smith followed up by saying he'd agree with it, and also that he feels that coaches should be wearing suits, go back to wearing suits instead of the jumpsuit and basically sweatpants that coaching staffs wear now. And so, we'll get into it. And there's been quite a bit of a debate. And I know LeBron James responded to Isaiah Thomas' comments. I haven't had a chance to see LeBron James' comments yet, but simply based on what Isaiah Thomas was speaking about the lack of professionalism and how it shows lack of professionalism in the NBA. And what I've noticed is that with this and just like many other topics, the divide seems to be more so generational. At least it appears to be. However, it's not more so generational as opposed to ideology and perspective. As a professional basketball player, I understand the comfortability of warming up without a shirt on. And you want to be as comfortable as possible, and you want to be in the best mental space possible during your warm up, during your pregame routine. And whatever it takes to get to that mental space is what you do. I understand. Um, However, as a professional, as someone who has a platform where you have younger people that maybe look up to you or aspire to be like you, there's a certain level of standard and accountability that comes with that. And people are caught up in the fact that of what Isaiah Thomas specifically said about LeBron James not wearing a shirt. It's not about the shirt and the do rag itself, it's more so about what it represents. It represents a lack of standard and lack of accountability in the NBA. And the reason it resonates is because everyone has seen the drop off in terms of viewership and ratings in the NBA over the past 5, 6 years. Not just in ratings, but also in in the quality of play. There's no question that not only this season has this season had one of the lowest ratings, viewership ratings for the NBA, but also the quality and style of play, game in and game out, has not been up to standard, has not been up to par. And so it's not necessarily about LeBron James not wearing a shirt and wearing a do-rag during his warm-up. It's about what it represents. It represents a lack of standard and accountability in the NBA. And when it if you have a lack of standard and accountability in how you go through your warm-up, then you have that same lack of standard and accountability when you play and how you do your post-game interviews, and everything translates, everything correlates. If you do one thing a certain way, you're going to do everything else that same way. And we see it also with the celebrations that go on with throwing the grenades and the guns. It and I'm going to segue a little bit and go for a little deeper right now. That as a so-called black man and someone in the so-called black community, there is a standard that we have to carry ourselves with. And when we do these celebrations, these grenades and guns celebrations, it fits into a stereotype that's already there and that permeates within our community, and other communities see that, and that only emphasizes and enhances that stereotype. And when it comes to the shirt and the do-rag concept, the other reason I do agree with Isaiah Thomas about this is because as so-called black men, we're one of the most hypersexualized um, demographics in the world, if not the most hypersexualized. And so, in order to break that stigma, in order to break that sort of scrutiny of hypersexualization that us as so-called black men are constantly under, I believe we should be doing away with being shirtless during our warm-ups, during our pregame routines, and we have to hold ourselves as so-called black men with a certain level of decorum and standard. And when you do that, that standard and decorum trickles down and translates and correlates over to other aspects of our life, not just in basketball, but with how we speak with each other and with how we converse with each other and how we treat each other in our community. And what this represents is, like I said, it's not the shirt and the do-rag itself, but it represents more so a bigger concept, and that's a lack of standard accountability, and also, like I said before on this show, a lack of culture. We, as a so-called black people, we don't have a true culture because we have gone away from we've gone away from the Most High, and we've gone away from a set of standards and procedures that are constant in our community. You go to one so-called black man's house, and he has a certain set of rules, and then you go to the next so-called black person's house, and they have an entirely different set of rules and standards. And so there's no consistency. And when there's no consistency, you can't trust each other. And when you can't trust each other, then there's no cohesion, and then there's no foundation being set. And that's why there's a lot of still dissension and uh, and lack of growth in our community. And it all starts within the household. And we can't have these big macrocosmic ideas of what to do and how to make the so-called black community better, and all these programs and after-school programs and things like that. Those are nice, yes, but it starts within the household. It starts in the household, because if you can't fix the household, then you can't fix what goes on outside of it. So everything starts within the household. We have to be more microcosmic in these concepts. And that is what this topic with the shirt and do-rag, that's what it really represents. And I believe some people aren't grasping that concept. And like I said, Steve Smith also brought up the notion of coaches going back to wearing suits uh, and business attire during games, and that's something I agree with as well. And that's something that I've been thinking about for the past 4 or 5 years. To be on a stage like that, to be on the coaching staff, whether NBA or college, at a high level, it's a it's an honor, it's a privilege to be on that sort of stage and to be in that realm, and you have to treat it as such. And trust me, as someone who has been playing basketball his entire life and plays professionally now, I understand the desire to want to be comfortable while playing, while coaching. But there's a certain level of appreciation that you have to show for the position that you're in by holding yourself to a high standard and by showing that, listen, I'm in this position and I'm going to treat it with the utmost respect. And if that means that I wear a suit every game day, then that's what it does. But also, what it does, it separates you. It shows that, hey, I'm on a different standard, and I do things differently. That's why when you see people on the street and they have suits and ties on, or they're dressed business attire, they automatically stand out. They're automatically separated from the rest of the people that are walking on the street, because that's not the norm. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be separated. And that's what the business attire does. It separates you from the rest of everyone else in the arena. And so we have to embrace that. We have to embrace that standard, that high standard, that accountability. It's okay to have that high standard. It's okay to want to look professional. It's okay to want to look different while in these spaces. And when we do that, we understand just how much potential and how special we are. Um, because when you have the coaching staffs with the joggers and the sweats, it dilutes everything. It dilutes the product. And like I said before, it translates from attire to gameplay, and then obviously that affects revenue and viewership. And there's a reason everything correlates. It all has a symbiotic effect. And that's what this issue truly represents. Like I said before, it's not necessarily the do rag and the shirt in and of itself. It's more so it represents a lack of professionalism and a lack of culture in our so called black community. And I know I'm going to get a lot of people to say, well, Kashawn, you work out with the shirt off all the time. Yes, I do during the off season. But you'll never see me on game day in the arena working out without a shirt on and for everyone to see. And once again, I understand this is simply my perspective. It's based on how I grew up, being a military child and uh, growing up with like I said, a very strict set of rules and standards and regulations that I had to follow, and my parents being very disciplined upon me. So I understand that my upbringing completely affects my outlook on this. However, I still believe it does represent a very prominent issue that we have in the so-called black community, and that's like I said, a lack of culture. But that being said, guys, that's it for our show. I just wanted to do a quick cover up of on this topic. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Leave your thoughts in the chat room as well. Does the NBA have an issue with lack of professionalism? And was isiahthomas right in his comments about LeBron James? Leave your thoughts in the comment section, guys. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. Until then, guys, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make